We are live.
Hey, what's going on, you guys?
What's
Welcome
up?
to the Common Denominator. My name is Sharita Francis. I am the owner of Sunshine Fitness. We also have my sister Nikki, the owner of Dance Fitness with Nikki. And then we have Jonas, one of the members of the Get Down. And we are the common denominator. And why is that? Because we at least have one thing in common. We are all fitness instructors.
Yes,
And
yes, yes, yes.
yeah, and so we decided that tonight we wanted to come on and talk about, and I better say his name right, because y'all remember when we was having our conversation.
I don't know what you called that man.
Say it the same way. It was hilarious.
You called him something. I was like,
Right.
Chauvin.
And you know another thing we have in common, we are all individuals of color, African Americans, Black, however you refer to yourself. And the topic that we're covering today about the guilty verdict for Derek Chaffin. I got it right? I got it right? All right. Derek Chaffin. And, man, I just got to make sure I say it right, because Jonas would be like, cut, start take one, take two, start over. Right, the guilty verdict. And man, I remember, do you guys remember what you were doing when it was announced that the jury had come back with its verdict?
I'm gonna let y'all go first.
Remember?
I do remember.
I was at home, probably moving around some paperwork, organizing, just waiting. I was watching the whole time, so I kind of expected it to come out that way, but I wasn't really sure.
Yeah. You always think about the okey-doke.
Right. Yeah. What was your feel? Okay, when you heard the verdict is the jury is coming back in to give the verdict. Were you on edge?
I was. It was like I thought that they would say guilty, but then I was like, we've seen it so many times where it's just like not guilty.
Yeah.
But for some reason I was more comfortable this time than other occasions, other trials.
Even me, I was not, because we just live in a world where anything happens, no matter how confident you are in it. Anything can happen. True. So I said, I'm not going to take a breath until I hear what they say. I'm kind of Thomas in the Bible. I don't believe he's alive until I see the holes in his hand. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So when it happened for me, I should have been left work. I couldn't leave. I couldn't budge. I was stuck in the seat and I was just sitting there.
Yeah.
So when it finally came out, I was like, God, this is wild, man.
Yeah. I remember feeling what I don't want to say it's a defense mechanism. Maybe it's like maturity in the way that I've grown to process things as I've gotten older throughout my life. But I always try my best to remain neutral in the situation, right? And so I found myself just staying neutral. I did not feel like, it could not be guilty or whatever. I just remained neutral. And I think that is because at the end of the day, we really, truly, we didn't know what that verdict was going to be. We've seen so many situations where it was hands down guilty. And for whatever reason, because your father is a judge or maybe whatever.
Yeah.
Not guilty. And then it's like, what do we do? So I remained neutral. And once I heard the verdict, shortly afterwards, I felt myself I started feeling different emotions.
What did you feel?
I almost felt like I wanted to cry. And I think it was, and I didn't actually shed a tear, but I remember getting on the phone with one of my clients and she kept saying, what is wrong with you? And I'm like, I'm fine. But on the inside, I was still processing it. And my emotions were kind of, raving up a little bit or kind of like all over the place because it was like, okay, they actually found him guilty. You know what I'm saying? Which he was. As a matter of fact, Jonas, I can't imagine that there's anybody in America or in this world that is not familiar with the story. But just in case we get someone that tunes in or decides to watch this now or later, it is not clear on the Derek Chaffin and George Floyd situation. Or let me rephrase that. The Derek Chaffin's murder of George Floyd. So just in case there is someone who's not familiar with it, can you just share a little bit of what happened and what this incident, describes for us?
Okay, in a nutshell, not to bring in every piece of detail, but in a nutshell, George Floyd was murdered by Derek Chaffin, who is a veteran cop. And it was off of a call from one of the local stores on the corner, like corner store, because allegedly, because I don't know if it was true or not. If you all let me know, it was a counterfeit 20, right? A counterfeit $20 bill that sparked all of this. And they're saying that he had drugs in his system. Then they say he didn't. So it was all of this. And then clearly you can see.
For me, that part didn't matter. I could care the drug in the system part, but
it didn't matter at all. But so you have all of these videos coming out of him being handcuffed, him being in the car, being pulled out the car, and then ultimately him being pulled out the car. And I'm just going to say the police officer, because I really don't want to say his name anymore. But the police officer put his knee on the man's neck and stayed there for over 9 minutes. A 17-year-old videotaped it. Now, can you imagine if she would have stopped 30 seconds, 1 minute? You know what I'm saying? And the whole argument would be, well, we didn't see the rest of the video. You know what I'm saying? That's what would have happened. But this young lady taped the entire thing. And from that, we have what we have today. And with that man ultimately died, calling for his mama.
Woo.
Calling for his mama.
That was hard.
That was I'm like, what? You're in such a state where you revert back to a kid?
Yeah.
Revert back mentally to mama.
Heartbreaking.
That protector. Yeah. Nikki, anything you want to share about just describing or, educating someone that may not? Again, I can't imagine, but just in case. Anything you want to add to that?
I just like the point that Jonas just made about the young lady Darnella Frazier. I had to look up her name because I couldn't remember.
Frazier.
And I hope she's being protected, because I remember about other cases and the people that were recording those cases and how they're not here anymore. Some kind of accident happened, so now they're not here anymore. So I hope she's being protected, because if it wasn't for her, none of this would have been brought up. Like, they could have made up any story. You know how they do? They make up a story. This that happened, or he hit us, so we had to, hold him down. Like, they could have said anything. But also, the dispatcher that called in and noticed that the video recording looked a little strange. Like, she actually thought that the recording was frozen because we were on him for so long. So thank God for cameras, because sometimes the things don't work out the way we want to, even with the camera, even with the recording. But thank God that things worked out this time.
Yeah.
And I think that, we know back Rodney King days, there was a video, but no justice, right? And I feel like, I know that was on camera, right? But I feel like now in today's time, that everything is being recorded. And the stuff that they have been able to do under the rug, that they're no longer able to sweep those things, those incidents under the rug. And I feel like people are speaking out, people that of other that aren't Black, they're speaking up and saying, hey, this isn't right. But in the police realm, Jonas, if I remember correctly, you have some training in that field, right?
Yeah.
And so, what are some of the things that you remember in training? Like, is there like, do they teach you to deal with, you know, Black people different than white, or like what did you experience? Did you experience racism being a Black man in that field, that line of work?
Well, I was on the military side. I did it for 5 years, and even on base, you had situations not as extensive or not as vicious as in the civilian world. But when I was on base, you had a lot of what you call it, people who were entitled because of their rank, things of that nature. But no, we didn't learn what that man did. We learned takedowns. We learned different things of that nature, but we didn't learn chokeholds. We didn't learn that. So when I see chokeholds and whatever, I'm like, what are these people teaching them? You know, where is that coming from? Now, as far as the racism part, I mean, I mean, and I hate to say it sometimes, but it's just the truth. It's a white man's world. It is, regardless of where you go. It is. So with that, I experienced being a Black man and being around some, you know, white soldiers or white leaders who did try to assert themselves over me. So that's what I experienced as far as that goes. So yeah.
Right. So did either of you watch it? Go ahead, Nikki.
No, I was trying to look up this. Okay, his name is Dave Grossman. Apparently, Dave Grossman is this police trainer that I guess the police go out of their way and pay for his training, not within their station, but I guess they go out and pay for his training like you would go to any other seminar. So he's very controversial. You might want to look him up on YouTube and check out his videos.
What's his name again?
His name is Dave. One second. Dave Grossman.
Okay.
Dave Grossman, and the way that he talks about shooting people is just like it's nothing. Like there's no value there. It's crazy. So
value of life, yeah.
So even if they're not getting trained by their superiors, they're going out of their way to find the training that suits them or that agrees with what they agree with.
Yeah, yeah. And one thing that my mom said when I was talking to her, one thing that she said was it starts at the head. So if we really think about it, and is it such a touchy thing to do or to say? But if you really, really think about it, it goes into the heads of these departments. It goes the head of the forces, the head of the country. So if you go back and you pull records from everything that we've been through in the past 4 or 5 years, think about who's been leading this. You know,
well,
people like that, then this is going to happen. Go ahead. Go.
And it even goes back to the foundation of a lot of these agencies. So you're you're on it, because when you say you got to go back to when we came out of segregation, and then they started putting all of these different agencies in place, mass incarceration, right? And so it's like these agencies, I mean, I remember just going back, just recently reading about how they had set up a system to incarcerate our youth. It was, and I probably should have pulled some of my material. Maybe we can have another conversation on this. But they set up an entire system to get Black youth. Now, this was back in maybe like the 60s and the 70s. They set up a system to get them in a database. That's when database and stuff like that, they would just stop them walking down the street, because they on the you could be walking down the street and they'll stop you and gather your information just to get you in their database, right? And then that's how they started locking up what's the good word? Falsely locking up our youth, and it goes back to like the Central Park Five. I know they don't like to be called that or anything, but back in that era,
yeah,
a lot of the agencies were formulated, put together, founded, created just to lock us up, and it's specifically black males. Young, not specifically young black males. So when where did this stuff come from? It come from the foundation, the creating of these agencies. This is what they were put in place for. And so we wonder why they're so aggressive, and they wonder why, we wonder why we're treated like we're nothing. Well, the agency was founded on the fact that it believed that we were nothing. They really wanted the young black men incarcerated.
But that's how the police started that's how the police service started in the first place, though.
Yeah.
They were collecting. Okay, I could be wrong, and I know I need to read more, but I was reading an article, or either I was reading an article or it was about a story that I was a video I was watching, one or the other. Either it was an article or a video. But they're basically talking about how the police department started because they were pulling black men off the street. They were supposed to be resting on the rest day, and they're just chilling on their off day, and they're just gathering people because they're saying they're loitering or making up excuses for them.
Yeah,
just to pick them up. And they started off as slave catchers, like free to be taken away. They were free, so like that's the origin of the police anyway. So.
Right.
You got send that to me. I really want to.
I need to find it.
Yeah, send that to me.
Yeah, there's this book that I've been reading, and I've been so busy, I haven't gone back to it, and it just so happened to be on this topic. I'll find it. But going back, did any of you watch any of the trial?
I did.
Most of it.
So did you hear? Derek Chaffin's supervisor, his superior. Did y'all hear his testimony?
Damning. It was completely damning. That's what did it.
I think that's what
did it.
That's what I think. But then the defense came back with their own, like with their own expert who tried to say, his supervisor said immediately, like, he was wrong. That was not, he did not follow protocol, right? But then they had another guy.
Right, wrong is wrong. Period.
Right. Now, here's the thing. We got the guilty verdict, right? So what is your prediction for sentencing? So I think the defense, the prosecution has asked for 40 years.
Yeah. I hope.
So, What's your prediction?
How old is this man? I can't remember.
Maybe like 43 or something like that.
43?
I don't know. I'm guessing.
No, I think that man is close to 50 or in his 50s. I can't remember.
That's just like they tried to say he weighed 140 pounds. I'm like, how I weigh more than him?
Please.
How I weigh more than him?
I can't remember. Either way, 40, he gonna walk up out. They're gonna pull him out that jail in a bag.
Yeah.
He's not gonna make it. And I'm like this.
Well, they're gonna have to like, don't they have like special?
They're gonna have to. They're gonna have to, because he will not make it 2-3 weeks. He won't. Right. People.
Well, he won't be with the regular inmates. He won't be in general population, I don't think.
I wouldn't think so.
No, because he's not going to make it. He's not going to make it.
So Sharita, you mentioned his supervisor, his superior. I want to know, where was the superior or the supervisor, whatever you want to call him, when he had all these complaints against him? Like, why wasn't he disciplined all of those other times that he was sitting on a young man's back, a teenager's back? He shot somebody and killed them before. Like, he had like 17 complaints against him. So where was the
You know.
superiority? Like
That's a good point. And that's why I think, in my opinion, and what I've shared with others, that's why I feel like he was so comfortable with all these people around him and people begging and pleading with him to get off of George, that he stayed there because he had gotten away with everything that he had done in the past.
Yep.
So in his mind, like he was bigger than everybody out there.
He's like, I got this.
Yeah.
I got this.
And I'm gonna stay right here.
He put his hands in his pockets.
So that lets you know, if you know we're fitness instructors. We know what it's like to feel weight. We know what that's like. And to have someone kneel on you and put their hands in their pocket, they also showed his foot raised a little bit off the ground. His back foot, the foot with the knee, and then you have the boot. The boot is, because you can literally, you could put your knee on somebody, but you can also lift up a little bit to where the pressure
and not have so much pressure, right?
So now he has it in the groove of this man's neck, and he lifts his back foot, and now you have all your 140 pounds. Are you kidding me? That man probably weighs as much as I do.
And then he has on equipment. It's no way he had 140 pounds.
30 pounds of equipment. Right. I know how much it weighs.
He had at least
he had
at least 180 pounds on him. At least 180 pounds.
If he weighed 140 pounds, that man is not right.
And I know that's a lie because I'm at 150. So come on, stop it.
No, ain't no way.
Listen, I want to put this out there for anybody that may be interested in the book. It's called From the War on Poverty to the War on Crime, and it's by Elizabeth Hinton. So from the War on Poverty to the War on Crime, and it walks you through the different stages of the judicial system, the justice system. It walks you through, like the different departments that were formed, why they were formed, what their tasks were and their purpose and that sort of thing. Again, that book is From the War on Poverty to the War on Crime. Okay, and so back to the situation. There were police that were out there. Now, I know we probably should have had an officer come in on this show, but I'm curious as to why none of the other officers were charged with any crime.
Well, that's supposed to be coming up. That's supposed to be coming up. What all that situation is supposed to be coming up, and I'm hoping that it goes the way it's supposed to go, because at the end of the day, that blood is on their hands too.
And remember, one of them was in training. One of them was in training at the time, and he looked like he was either black or mixed race. He looked like a light-skinned guy, a young guy. He was in training at the time.
I see. So let me ask you this. Now, this is something that I immediately thought about. Do you think that they were afraid that Black people, or Black Americans, or whoever, everybody, I wouldn't even just say Black people who felt that the verdict was wrong, if it had come out any other way than guilty? Do you think that they were afraid that there was going to be a riot out of this world?
I got 2 points to that. Points to that. Number one, there's no way, even though I was sitting there holding my breath, right? There's no way that verdict would have came out not guilty. That's just me. Number two. Hold on,
Jonas. If it was 20 years ago, could it have been possible?
Oh yeah,
because we wouldn't have had the footage.
Well, Rodney King
had the footage.
Rodney King, hello.
But the footage.
But he wasn't killed though. He didn't die.
He didn't die.
That makes a difference, I wonder. You know what I mean?
But here's the thing with that footage, Look at the distance. It was at night. All of that. So I have all of these, and so many things was happening.
Yeah.
This you had point A and point B. That's it. There's no disputing it. Now, in my opinion, had that verdict come out any other way, mayhem. Like when the stories that I heard about DC when Martin Luther King died,
burnt down.
They pretty much said DC burned down. So with that, it would have been nuts. And I worked on 15 Northwest Northwest DC. I wouldn't have been able to go to work.
No.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have been able to go to work.
Not right there.
It would have been a constant thing. So with that, in a way, maybe I don't know the minds of those jurors, but they knew what they were dealing with. They knew what they were dealing with.
So Jonas, you mentioned that it took 10 hours, right, for them to come back with a verdict. Nikki, why do you think it took so long?
I think they wanted to get organized. I don't think any of the jurors were fighting against the guilty verdict. I think they were probably trying to get organized, trying to get their thoughts together so that if anyone had any questions for them, they'd be ready to answer. But if it would have gone past that next day, then I would have been like, okay, what's going on? Why is it taking time? Yeah, but I'm like, okay, it went to the next day, and it wasn't like the whole next day. So I was like, all right, maybe they're trying to get organized. But when you mentioned the jury and did you say if they were scared of the uprising or whatever?
Right.
I think they may have been scared that was going to happen, but I don't think that had anything to do with them saying that he was guilty. I think they were going to say he was guilty anyway. But I'm sure that they thought, yeah, this is going to go off if we make a wrong decision.
Right. So one of our viewers has said footage today has a very different viewpoint and mindset.
Yes.
And yeah, I think that is a good point.
Yeah. Today's footage is not the grainy, big old honky camera that we had back in the day. If you wanted a really good picture, you had to be close and good light, all of that. Nowadays, cell phone footage is awesome. You know,
I love it.
You can capture everything. And here's the thing: if you see something, you can take a video, and while the video is playing, you can take pictures on the video. Yep. Wow, it's so techno. Help me out. The techno. Yes, I can't even say it now. The technology is advanced now that it's like I don't see dispute unless they said, like I said, when you go back to my other point, if she would have cut that video off at 7 minutes.
Thank God for her. Yeah.
Because where would we be right now?
Oh.
Yeah. Thank God for her. And thank God for her courage.
Yes. Yes, that's how I agree with that.
How do you all feel about like the trauma that they are dealing with? Like when a young man said that he wished he had never called the police, or like the young lady said she wished she would have done something to help him, and how she still she has nightmares, and like
that's lifelong.
Has got to be
stressful. That's lifelong. That's lifelong.
Yeah. And that, it's everybody processed differently. And so I can definitely see people process and you go back, you deal with guilt, you deal with, maybe I could have done something different, or why didn't I just run over and push him off? Or, you know what I'm saying? You always replay things in your mind,
Yeah.
Or like, why didn't I call the police earlier? Because they probably thinking like maybe
people did
earlier. I know, but like after it happened,
okay, yeah.
Man, I should have called earlier, and maybe they would have stopped.
Well, no. There were people calling while it was going on.
Man,
but the thing about it is, with all of that, that creates years of therapy. Because that's somewhat like throwing a civilian in a war zone.
Yeah, literally.
You're not conditioned for that. That's why when you go through military training, when you go through boot camp, all of that, when I tell y'all, it is like a broken record. They're training. It's a constant, because we have to drive this in your skull so that if you ever get sent to the sand, you're not going to be surprised. I need you to be here. I need you to be ready, because you're going to see stuff that you're not used to seeing. You're going to, you may have to shoot somebody, and you've never shot anybody a day in your life, but you get top-notch on your qualifications and stuff. So it's a lot, man. It's a lot. I just think that those people have to deal with that.
Yeah.
Did when the police department, they had many of them, the members testify against Chaffin, right? Yeah. See, I didn't really get to see any or hear any of their testimony. Did you guys?
Yeah. If they didn't have the number of witnesses they had.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying, I think that's how they won the case. Basically, they had a better team. They had more prosecutors on the team. They had so many people working behind the scenes. Then they had more witnesses, better witnesses, more reputable witnesses. Because remember, the main examiner from Maryland is corrupt. Like, they're looking up all of his cases right now, and he has a lawsuit with him and everything. So the team was just not good at all. The attorney, the defense attorney, wasn't good. Like, I guess he did his best with what he was working with, but
no, it
was bad.
It's like Living Single. When Maxine Shaw said, "Oh well, I have to go into court because apparently my client stumbled into a convenience store and took 12 people hostage." But you see the joke. Apparently, my client stumbled into a convenience.
Apparently, they stumbled.
So that's the part of the joke of the show when she said her line. That was the joke. So with this one, I looked at the defense as a joke. I'm like, y'all really gonna try to defend this man? Y'all really gonna try to defend this?
They were hard to do.
Okay, do your best, because at the end of the day, everything that the prosecution had was epic. Everything they said, there was no way that the jury could have said anything but guilty. There's no way, even though I was holding my breath.
Yeah. One of our viewers says, one of my rookie coworkers said it isn't easy for a rookie to go against a senior officer. That's my mama. Not.
That's my mama.
Of course not. And let me just say this here. We're not bashing police officers. I have police officers I love, that are in my family, that are close friends. Although there are many bad apples out there, we have some good officers. And so I want to say that that we support our good officers. Okay.
Yeah, I definitely do.
My daddy was an officer. My stepmom was an officer. So yeah.
So I mean, when the verdict came out, I had to call my my VP, and I couldn't help it. I was teary-eyed, teary-eyed, because it caused so much anxiety. Because here I am, 5'11", 6 foot, depending on the shoe I wear. Right? So here I am, 270 plus pounds. I don't have an evil bone in my body, but to someone, and I'm bald, to someone, I'm intimidating. To some, Sharita, to someone, they might look at me and say, "Big black man," right?
Right.
Whenever I'm in the car and the police, if they're around me, any I'm sitting there like 10-2. I'm looking straight ahead. I don't need no issues at all. Right? Let a blue light show up.
Right.
I have a system already. I said I got one button. I'm calling everybody I know. Bop. And I'm be like, on video, I need you to screen record right now. I don't know, because at the end of the day, there have been so many instances and so many situations where Black and brown people have not made it home.
Yeah.
You feel me? Like my mom told me about a situation. She got put, it was like what, 2015, Sandra Bland, that whole situation. Remember that?
Yeah. Right.
So my mom gets pulled over by this cop who was aggressive, and walks up being aggressive. I'm tired of y'all driving down this street, you know, like y'all own the street, whatever. And then being aggressive to my mom. My mom is complying and saying, "Listen, I'm this is what I'm doing." This, you know, not knowing that my mom works for the state trooper. Right? Doing all of this, I feel that they assume they already figured out where, they figured out who she was. He assigned this, blah, 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 blah. Right? Now it comes up that, oh, you know who I am now. It's been years later, but someone said to her, you know, I'm paraphrasing, I'm all over the place, but someone said to her that she should have brought it up to her superior so that it could have been handled years ago. But at the same time, so many, like what was said, so many rookies, so many people don't have courage, like the whole situation with that, to step up and say something, because they are rookies. You know what I'm saying? Because they are low man on the totem pole. They don't want to say nothing.
But you know what? People are people. You got good people, you got bad people. You got good cops, you got bad cops. You got good priests, you got bad priests. You got, you know, people, just because you put a uniform on and a badge on does not change the fact that you are a human being just like everybody else. Some people get into law enforcement for good reasons, and some get in for the wrong reasons, right? And I just like to read a comment here from one of our viewers. He said that the support is definitely there for the officers that are truly serving and protecting the public. But for those that have another agenda, take away the badge. And I agree. They need to keep them out. You know, keep the good ones and get rid of the bad ones. And
stop with this blue wall of silence.
Blue wall, and then also the qualified immunity, and like how they're able to, well, I guess qualified immunity is when they're able to stay on the force or move around without people knowing that they actually had a case against them or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. So I think there should be a national database. You shouldn't be able to be a police officer if you were fired somewhere else. You should not be
sex offenders. Sex offenders. Sex offenders.
Exactly. Right. They should have that for police officers, and they should take away their pension. Like their pension should be affected, the retirement should be affected, the benefits should be affected, and the union should be affected. And if they're going to be taking money from the taxpayers to pay these, you know, pay off the people for the crimes that the police committed against us, like the union should have to pay those millions of dollars back. We shouldn't have to pay for bad cops' actions.
If you hit them in their pocket, hit them in their pocket.
Hit them where it hurts.
When you have a job where you can take someone's life within the split of a second, the level of accountability needs to be much higher, right? Yes. It can't be that because my officer, so meaning a superior or your honor or what have you, because my officer said that this is what happened, and you don't have any solid proof to prove otherwise, then I have to go based upon what my officer said. My officer's word trumps anything that you said. And that should not be the case, because your officer is human, just like I am. And your officer could lie just like I could. But because he is an officer and took an oath, right? Okay. Right. Oh, that does not mean that he doesn't, and that he is, being honest, right? And a lot of times when people feel like they have that upper hand, they know they can take advantage. And they're not thinking about the impact that it has on that next individual.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I see that.
So,
I see that.
Mm-hmm. And so Black people are afraid of cops, right? Why is that? Why are some? Not all Black people are afraid of cops.
Look, I make it a point. If I'm on a highway and I see an officer, like, why are y'all going so slow? Because it's an officer on the highway. Like, you're going the speed limit. You can pass him. I'd be like, but I am cautious though. I'm not reckless, but I'm just like, I don't feel like I have to walk around in fear. I don't feel like, and I understand why people do. I get it, but it's like, man, we can't be walking around in fear. But it's like, then I get it. It's a hard thing to balance for me. Living in America as a Black person is it's like walking on a tightrope.
That's a strike against you right there.
It's walking on a tightrope.
Okay, I'll say this.
And it's different from a Black woman and Black man. Go ahead, John.
Exactly.
Well, okay. I was going there.
That point.
So, like I said, going back to it, when I was in the military, right, and I went to Korea. When I went to Korea, I'm coming down. We landed in Korea. And we're coming down the escalator. We got our bags, everything. I see two officers, a captain and a first lieutenant. The guy, y'all remember the guy that got pulled over in Virginia? And he was a lieutenant.
Mm-hmm.
I think they said,
lieutenant. Talking about the guy that they made.
Yeah. Okay, just to give you a different. Okay, so first lieutenant is the highest. Second lieutenant is lower than first lieutenant. Okay. So I think he was a second lieutenant. But first lieutenant, and you had a captain. And I just saw them pointing. Okay, as you coming down, they're doing this. Right? That was my first notion that I'm a big man. They point to me to go to another base. I had orders to go to the city, but they wanted me to go to another base, which was closer to the DMZ, which was North Korea. It was only 500 of us, big men, right? So when it comes to this situation, I'm seeing women, I'm seeing men, but I'm also noticing. Did I say that right? My tongue tie. I noticed the guys that are being taken away. They're not small. They're big men. I noticed that. I think I noticed it because of me. I'm like, well, who am I? If this situation happens, I can't fight, somebody with a gun or mistake it for a taser. But it's like I'm nervous. So I hear what you're saying, Nicole, that you're not, and I get that. I really do. But me, it's a different story with me. And I have nephews coming up. You know what I'm saying? I have nephews coming up. So
I understand. Like, I have two sons and a husband that drive, and I said a couple weeks ago or last week, I was like, I don't even know if I want my sons to drive now. Like, it's out of control. So me not being scared as me as a woman, I'm not scared unless I feel a certain type of energy, or if I'm outside of my car or something and I feel an energy, or if you give me a certain look, then I'm like, okay, I don't feel comfortable with that. But I'm a woman now. If I was a man driving, especially at night, or especially like in a
I don't like driving at night. I don't like driving at night.
Even in Ohio, they said it's not safe for the mayor. Was it Minneapolis? No, Minneapolis. The mayor of Minneapolis was saying he doesn't feel comfortable driving at night. Like, I understand as a Black man, I'll probably have anxiety driving at night. Like, I don't know.
I don't. I mean, let me take that. I do, but I try not to, just because of these situations. And I'm sitting here like, what if I get pulled over in like a new development or something, and then I send my location, but Google hasn't put that location in the map yet.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I always think about stuff like that. And then now I'm sitting here looking like, all right, what you want me to do? Okay, I'm complying. How they say, just comply, just comply. I am. What else do you want me to do, man?
But you can't even ask a question. You can't even say, why am I being pulled over? Look at the lieutenant. And if he didn't have that camera mounted up in his truck, it would have been a different story, because they lied and said that he assaulted them, and he didn't. What if he didn't have his own camera mounted up?
That's right.
Listen, when I watched that video, all I kept saying was, please keep your hands up. Do not reach for that seatbelt. Keep your hands up. Don't reach for that seatbelt the whole time. And I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, please, I hope they don't kill this man, because they're telling him to reach to get out, but his seatbelt is on. He can't get out. And although they were macing him, and listen, I've never been maced, but I can only, my husband, you know, he's gone
3 times.
He was that
3
maced.
times. I've been maced 3 times.
You said your husband what?
He's gone. He's been maced. He's in on that side. You know, as far as his. His stuff. So he's been maced, and he's gone through all of that different types of training. And he was saying to me, Sharita, you know, like, you don't understand, for them to spray him so close like that in his face. That feels, And
the dog.
It feels like
the dog too.
Like
Remember it was a
huh?
Remember it was a dog in his back seat.
That killed
there was a dog in his back seat.
So both
killed the dog.
Affected by the spray.
Yeah. It killed the dog?
No. She's saying that it was the dog was affected by.
Oh. Yeah, but I feel like he did the right thing. I feel like by keeping his hands up, I don't care. Yeah. First of all, okay, let's just go back. One of the reasons why they say that they acted so aggressively is when they first put their lights on to pull him over, that he didn't pull over immediately. Then he drove till he got to like he felt was a safe place.
That's right. That's what you're supposed to do.
Right. I feel like he did the right thing. Then when they approached him with such aggression, and he kept his hand, I felt like he did the right thing, because I feel like if he would have just, even though they were telling him to get out, if he would have reached to take the seatbelt off, they could have said gun, boom. We've seen it happen.
Yes.
We've seen it happen. Where they told somebody to get something, and they go to reach for what they done told them to get, and they done killed the person.
Philando. And I watched do y'all remember the father that was in the hotel? They told him to crawl to them. He had on sweatpants. He didn't want his sweatpants to fall down. He reaches to pull up his sweatpants, shot dead.
See? And to tell you that lieutenant had some training, because he did exactly what he was supposed to do.
Yeah.
My thing is this: it's like, is it open season?
Yes.
It just makes me feel. I'm like, it's open season.
Jonas, how many videos have you seen of white people with knives, with guns, jumping in the police, chasing the police, fighting the police?
The police running from them,
beating them with a nightstick. They beating the police with the nightstick.
The insurrection.
Look, the whole insurrection.
I mean,
but on the same day,
on my birthday,
on the same day that the verdict came out, I think it was the same exact day. It was video footage of this man in a pickup truck mowing down the police, like ramming the cars. He drives off, and a police officer is attached to his door, hanging on for dear life. They didn't shoot that man one time. He ramming the cars, backing up, driving it forward, back and forward. And then all of a sudden, he just drives off with the officer on the truck. Nobody got shot. Like,
that's why when I watched, I don't know if y'all seen it. Them, have y'all seen Them yet? Wait a minute. If you can't handle it, don't watch it.
Yeah.
What is it? What is them? I don't watch much TV.
So them talks about the movement. Oh yes. My family and them use that app, the 360 app. So it's about a family that basically is moving in, Black people pretty much that are moving into these areas.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the whole situation with redlining, all of that.
Compton. It was Compton back in the day.
Compton was white back in the day until it became Black, right?
Mm-hmm.
They talked. You went into the board, the little meeting room, where I've never seen a movie like this, where they discussed what to do.
That's what I'm trying to
say.
Right.
Wait a minute, hold up, wait a minute. And they talked about everything that happened with the Black people, how they spread nigger on the lawn, all types of craziness, right? All types.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing about it is, with them, I lost my train of thought, y'all.
Listen. Jesus Christ, Jonas, how old are you? So listen.
That's why I keep this with me at all times, because I forget.
Dog, and I had a point.
Listen. So
go ahead.
They say how many weeks before the sentencing? How many weeks did they say once the verdict was it 8 weeks?
8 weeks?
I think it's 8.
Yeah.
It's 6 or 8 weeks, something like that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So Francis said that her family uses it's a free app. Life 360.
Life 360. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it tracks the location, driving speed, phone battery life. Okay, I need to download that.
She says we created a family circle. It tracks location, driving speed, phone battery life, etc. She says her mom feels so safe being able to track the family and not have to use Google Maps.
I might have to share that.
Yeah, we might have to do that.
Yeah.
But
go ahead, Jonas. You remember that?
No. I don't.
He's like, no, I don't. You're gonna remember as soon as we end the broadcast, he's gonna be like, dang, that's what it was.
I had a point. But no, one thing that I do want to say, like you said, we're not against police, because that's the first people I'm calling.
Yeah.
First people I'm calling. But I hate to hear these situations of you call the police and then they turn on you. I hate like the whole situation with the officer, right? With the officer back in 2017. He had a situation in 2017 where it's like the mom called him because the kids are acting up. This dude attacks the teenager, hitting him with his flashlight and everything, and puts his knee on the boy. But this one was a longer.
14 minutes. 14 minutes.
And the boy survived?
Yeah, this happened. And then in the trial, they weren't allowed to mention any of this stuff during the trial, but they could talk about George Floyd and his drug history and his past. They talked about
this man's past,
but you can't talk about Chauvin and what he did in the past. Like, that's crazy to me.
But no, so but I want to educate people real quick. When it comes to this policing thing, I feel, in my opinion, I think this is going to be my last thought so that we can get off. Because I want to go to the gym. I feel when we talk about police reform, all of that, defunding the police, I feel like, no, not defunding the police, because these are still human beings. These are still United States citizens. They still need to live, right? I feel like there should be other means that should be called. Like I was giving an example, if a person with dementia or clear mental issues comes into a place, why can't we call a social worker? Why can't we call someone that's trained in that field?
Right.
Don't call a cop because a cop just came off the street. Now you're a cop. You're a thug, or you're OG. Now you got a badge, so now you're gonna come in. That's escalating the situation. I feel that. Number two, training. In the United States, it's about 3 to 8 months on average to be a police officer. In Germany, it's about, they said 2.5 to 4 years in basic training, right? And then in Russia, 3 years experience was considered you're okay, you're good, right? But 7 to 10 years, you're a professional. In Norway, this is my last one. In Norway, 3-year bachelor's degree, where the first and third year takes place in college, and the second year is on the ground in policing areas. I feel like there should be more training. You shouldn't just come off the street and be a cop.
Yeah.
That's
I agree. We talked about how you can become a hairstylist faster than, you can become a police officer faster than you can become a hairstylist. Like, they have more training to mix chemicals than they do for you to carry a gun. And that's insane to me. But like what you said, when you mentioned defund the police, this is why I'm not a Democrat. I'm an independent, because I don't like their messaging. I don't like their messaging because even when they say, like, I knew it was going to be issue when they named Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter. I knew that would be an issue because people want to have the stupid hat on. So of course they're going to say, it's not Black Lives Matter. Of course, what about us?
Lives matter.
Right. Of course, the message is going to be mixed up. So I knew that was going to be an issue. And then with the defund police, that message, it's like they need to come up with better, like they need a PR person or something, because why say defund the police? You know that's going to cause an uproar because people don't like to think. They want something to argue about. So that's giving somebody something to argue about. How about say, let's just come up with different programs and use the money that you would use for the police to fund these other programs. You don't have to say defund the police. Use another word, because you already know it's going to cause an argument. And then nothing's going to get done because people are so busy arguing about words. When Olsa Brooks, I think, took money. Olsa Brooks is the county exec in PG County. I think she took money away from a building that was supposed to be built for the police, and she put that money towards mental health or some kind of program for mental health. Things like that make a difference. So instead of the dispatcher calling the police to come to the scene, they can have whatever organization come to the scene. That's something that needs to be done. Yeah. But the messaging needs to be.
One of our viewers says reform is different than defunding. I support reform, not defunding. And for example, training, engagement, and education. Yeah. And so as we get ready to wrap up, what the sentencing, what do you say? What is your prediction, Nikki? What will his sentencing be?
25 years.
Ooh.
Possibility, with the possibility of parole?
No. Well, I guess I don't think they're going to.
Yeah, 25.
I think 25 straight.
25. No, okay.
Yeah.
What do you think,
max. I think the max.
You think they're gonna give him the max?
I think they're gonna lift the jail and put him on under it and put the jail back down.
We'll see. I don't think so.
I think my prediction will be the max as well. I think that as the system has proven to make examples out of people, I think that this is a situation where it's an opportunity to set the pace, to set the tone, to make an example, to let other officers know, okay, this will not be tolerated. You not valuing someone's life will not be tolerated. So I am my prediction aligns with Jonas, and I think that they're gonna give him the max. So that is left to determine. And once that sentencing is released, I guess we can come back, share our thoughts on that. Yeah. So before I say our closing comments, is there anything you want to say, Nikki?
This was a great conversation. I think a lot of great points were made. A lot of good information was put out there, and I guess we all should Google the slave catchers and see where the origins of the police came from. Also, what was the young lady's name that was punished for snitching on her police officer?
Oh, what is her name?
A coworker. She was a police officer, I think, in New York, and she was fired, benefits and pension taken away because she reported her coworker for abuse. So,
she didn't have
just on the Breakfast Club. Her name is Carol Horn.
That's it.
Is that how you pronounce your name?
Carol, Cariol Horn.
Is it Carol or Carol? I don't know. I'm messing her name up, but I'm glad she was able to get her things, get her flowers while she's still alive, and she got her benefits back and things like that. So that worked out. But yeah, peace. Thanks for coming through. I had a great time.
Awesome. Jonas?
Last thing, and it's going to be quick for me. Forget that blue wall of silence. If you're a cop and you're listening to this, or if anybody shares it and you know a cop, blue wall of silence, stop that. Because we need good cops. We need good people, not just cops, that term or that position. We need good people looking out for people. Stop this whole clique thing, man. If you see wrong and you allow it, that blood is on your hand too. So those officers that stood by, didn't do nothing, they killed George Floyd too.
Absolutely. Bring back Officer Friendly. What happened to Officer Friendly? We used to have that in elementary school. We need to bring that.
You remember him?
I remember Officer Friendly and Running for the Arts. Those were the best things.
The DARE program.
That too, but that ain't work. That was
hold on one second. Okay, I'm with you on that, Jonas. And so, all right, guys, I guess that wraps it up. Nikki, I was looking for your last name, but again, just to recap, my name is Sharita Francis. We have Mr. Jonas Davis
and Nicole Sheffield.
What's your last name, Nikki?
Sheffield.
What is it?
Sheffield. I know it's not on Facebook.
Sheffield. Okay, I was looking for it. Where's her last name? And we are the Common Denominator. And I just want to add this disclosure. We are not experts in anything that we discussed today. This was just we have not spent a huge amount of time on researching in great detail. We have followed this story and case as every other American. And we just felt that because we have this platform, that it would be a good topic to cover because this is happening in the time that we're living in, and it's a relevant topic. And we felt that it would be something that you guys would have interest in. So again, everything that we have stated is just our personal opinion on how we feel the death of George Floyd, how it happened, the impact that it has had, and our own personal positions on it. Okay. If you have any questions or any comments that you would like to share with us, the Common Denominator, please feel free to message us on Facebook. You can message us at the Common Denominator, or you could reach out to either one of us individually. We would love to hear from you. And with that being said, it is a wrap. And we will see you back soon, and we will definitely come back to cover the verdict to see who was right. I think I'm going to win.
Hey. I hope y'all are right. I hope y'all are right.
That's right.
I hope.
All right, guys. All right.
Peace, y'all. Peace.